Right now on the Comcast Business Hotline, joining us live to break it all down, Rick Morris from the FDH Lounge and Internet Radio in Cleveland. Hello, Rick. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Joe. Thank you so much. Always an honor and a pleasure to be on your show, and looking forward to Game 2 tonight, as are you and all your listeners.
Oh, well, we appreciate your time, Rick, as always, and good talking to you, my friend. Now, what's the feeling? What's the vibe in Cleveland getting kind of routed in Game 1 by 22 and not a great overall performance, 20 turnovers at all? What's the thought?
I think it's surprise, which it might seem kind of strange on the surface because everybody knew how good Golden State was. When I did my breakdown on the FDH Lounge show with my basketball analyst, Ben Chu, we were going through it. Each of us said we thought, gun to our head, Cavs in 7, but we were having a hard time deciding really on this. I thought in the end that the Cavs would win enough of the close games and probably get blown out twice. But I thought the blowouts would be determined by Golden State. That was a blowout that was determined by the Cavs. I don't think anybody saw that coming. All the turnovers, which you referenced last hour, I think you said possibly an NBA record in a playoff game for that or a finals game for a turnover differential. On down the line, Tristan Thompson getting outplayed by Zaza Pachulia. Tristan Thompson basically showing up on the side of a milk carton. Nobody saw that coming. On and on and on it goes. LeBron with all the turnovers. People talk about, it's the Golden State Advantage. No, it's bad passes by LeBron. He knows better. He's got the best court vision in the league. It's the Cavs basically just kind of coming apart at the seams. And I think that's the part that was really kind of surprising and maybe a little bit disconcerting because, again, that wasn't a blowout that was dictated by Golden State, and we know they have that mode in them. So we'll have to see what happens the rest of the way.
So, Rick, let me ask you, what went wrong? It's Game 1 of the finals, an epic battle, clash of the Titans and all that. I know that's mostly us hyping it up in the media and whatnot. But, it was supposed to be, a matchup to end all matchups. And, what happened to Cleveland? And they didn't seem like they were, like you said, really all together. In fact, they did come apart at the seams. And it was almost embarrassing at times how many times Kevin Durant went down the lane and dunked.
Yeah, it was really bad. And to a certain extent, again, it's a lot of pick your poison because you body up on Durant a little bit more. You leave the shooters open. Maybe you're going to get murdered on the threes. And in the end, that may be the story of the series. It may be there's no stopping this Golden State team in terms of what anybody can throw at them because if the Cavs can't beat them or at least give them a very good series, certainly nobody can. We've seen that. They just at a certain point in time, I felt good as a fan looking at it going into halftime, only down 8 after that execrable second quarter.
Yep.
It was just totally rotten at that point. And you're thinking, okay, you go back to Game 7 last year. They were down 7 at the half after a not very good first half. Maybe that's an analog. Not so much because the third quarter was even worse. This team has a tendency to just sort of go on tilt at a certain point, and you could see that. And there are just games where I've seen it the last couple of years in the playoffs, and there haven't been many bad games or many losses for the Cavs in the second LeBron era. But there are games where you're just screaming, like, why did you jack up that shot? Why did you try to make that pass? And they were the poker players would say, they were on tilt. You could see it. It's palpable when it happens to this team. And they have to make sure at all costs that it doesn't happen again.
We're on with Rick Morris, live from the FDH Lounge in Cleveland Internet Radio. Rick, let me ask you this. If you're the coach, you're Tyronn Lue, although I think the coach is LeBron of that team. Tyronn Lue is the de facto coach. But anyway, what adjustments do you make in Game 2? Like you said, pick your poison. And both stars played like stars when they had opportunities the other night. They got off to a rusty start, did the Warriors, but then they got it together. What adjustments do you make in Game 2 to try to – and you can't stop Kevin Durant. You can't necessarily stop Steph Curry, but to contain them.
Well, as far as it goes with Ty Lue, I respectfully agree to disagree to at least whatever extent because, again, I think it's a thing where LeBron's very much involved, but he's very much involved. He trusts – this may be the first coach outside Eric Spoelstra, and even that was spotty at times, that he really ever fully trusts and believes in. Ty Lue is, again, he's a product of great minds, whether it be Phil Jackson or whether it be Doc Rivers, and he and this excellent deep coaching staff that he has, they've been able to make adjustments. I thought they got their lunch handed to them the first 2 games last year in Oakland. They came back and shut me up the next 5 games with the adjustments that they made. They need to really be on that. Again, there are different schools of thought because what do you do against Golden State? You sell out against this element, maybe they kill you in another way. I know that in my the preview that I was talking about that we did at the FDH Lounge, my analyst Ben Chu said he thought maybe they need to spread them out a little bit more. That might be the way to do it. But if you do that, are you trying to beat Golden State at their own game? The one thought that he and I both had talking off there after Game 1 was a name that you haven't heard much, but I did see it in the media a little bit going into the series. Derek Williams. That might be the most athletic guy on this team, taking into account the fact that LeBron's 32. If you're going to try and put somebody on Durant full-time just to put a body on him, again, the guy's never won any Defensive Player of the Year awards. We know that, but he's fresh. He's been out of the rotation for a while. He's ready to go. Supposedly his legs are good. Maybe you do that. I don't know if you sell out your offense that much, though, but that's the thing. If you can put a young, athletic body on Durant to be in his jock most of the night, maybe that helps. But the question with any adjustment you make is, does it help you more than it hurts you in another area?
Let me ask you this, Rick, and that's certainly a good insight and interesting. Derek Williams playing Kevin Durant, that would be an interesting matchup. But you said pick your poison. You said it earlier. Which poison do you pick? Which of the stars, and they have a few of them, Draymond Green and Steph Curry, of course, Kevin Durant, which one do you let, or give the opportunity to beat you while you're trying to shut down the others?
The way it's going right now, I think you have to cheat off of Draymond Green a little bit, and you have to cheat off of Klay Thompson because he got off to a bad start the other night. And that's one of the things people are looking at when they say that, yeah, the Cavs obviously have another gear to go to after the other night, so does Golden State. But this is just a thing where, again, at the end of the day, if you're doing everything you can on the main guys, and I think you have to worry more so about trying to take away Durant and Curry. And I wondered coming into the series, and I said so on our preview, Tristan Thompson with making the switches, he was very instrumental on helping to shut down both Curry and Klay Thompson at various points in time in the last 2 years. He can't come out and cheat as much with Durant being there. So I wondered about that coming in. But it's a thing where I think you must first focus on Durant and Curry, two of the best three players in the league right there. And then look, if Klay Thompson beats you, if Draymond Green beats you, then at the end of the day, there's just nothing you could do about this. There's a potential scenario here where there's just nothing the Cavs can do. And a lot of people thought that would be the case coming into the series. I didn't believe so because I thought in close games, you go back to Game 7 last year, Golden State psychologically has never proved they can win those games. And I think we all thought Mike Brown would be in there in the entire series. And quite frankly, that was only going to enhance the potential choke factor for Golden State. He's a nice guy, but, we saw it here in Cleveland the first time. Mike Brown's foremost ability was keeping LeBron James from a championship that he did it the first time he was here. But with Steve Kerr coming back, I don't know. That part of it goes out the window. That's maybe going to help him in a tight situation. But on the other hand, I don't think Steve Kerr's 100% because we would have heard that he was doing much better coming to this point. Is Steve Kerr, is he seeing Game 2 as the opportunity to step on the Cavs' throat and that maybe he gets back in there for one game and he's picking his spot and that's tonight? That could very well be the case. Interesting.
We're on with Rick Morris from the FDH Lounge in Cleveland Internet Radio. Rick, the overall feeling, I think, outside of Cleveland is, all right, hand Golden State the trophy now and coronate Golden State. They're going to, reclaim the hats and T-shirts and get another ring before it's done. It's only Game 1. It's in the books. You have to kind of put it aside. Game 2, a fresh start. What's the feeling in Cleveland? Is it like doomsday all over again, or do the folks and the vibe in Cleveland, do they think they can still get it done?
Oh, there's still a decent sense of optimism. And look, there will be, even if the Cavs lose Game 2, because, again, came back from 2-0 deficit last year. Sure,
there's precedent.
But there is a precedent, but I think you and I know not really. That was not a team with Durant. There's really nothing about last year that applies to this. When you, as LeBron has said, you take a 73-win team, you add Kevin Durant, who I think is the second-best player in the league.
Agreed.
That's the question here, is there anything that can beat this team? And when you were talking before about Golden State's legacy and where they might fit in with all of this, I'm kind of looking at it like I'm not going to give much credence even if they go 16-0, which I still do not believe is going to be the case.
Sure.
To me, there's a gigantic asterisk. Zaga Pachulia accidentally on purpose taking out Kawhi Leonard when they're down 20 to San Antonio. So to me, that's always going to have a big asterisk. But if they handle this Cavs team in the finals, I'm telling you flat out, this is the best team LeBron's ever been on. This team is much better than last year's team that won the championship. This is LeBron's best team ever. Put it in capital letters on the marquee. There's no doubt about that. If Golden State handles this team, they're a team for the ages, and as much as I personally don't like them, you just got to take your hat off to them if that's the case.
You do have to tip your hat to them. Last question before I go, Rick. The overall vibe in Cleveland, it was good after the Cavs took down Golden State last year to win a championship, but then the Indians kind of tanked. They were up 3-1 to the Cubs, and then I don't know how this series is going to end up, but it could go south from here. How's Cleveland taking all this?
Pretty good, I think, to be honest with you. And you go back to, again, and I just happened to be on your show last year, and I called it when it happened, when Stipe Miocic won the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yes, I remember.
So we look at it like, hey, we still got Stipe. The Cavs are going to be is anybody going to stop them in the Eastern Conference next year? So we're going to get another look at this next year, probably the year after, at least until as long as it takes Milwaukee to catch up with us. And, hey, maybe Philly if you draft right. I mean, you're putting some nice pieces together there, but it's a long-term project to catch up to the Cavs in the East. The Indians still look like they could be a decent bet to make it back to the World Series this year and may not have to worry about the Cubs. So, no, life is still good here, my friend. All
right, Rick, I lied, actually. I have another question since you brought it up. The Sixers draft, all right? You know all about the Lonzo Ball situation. And in case you missed it, Jordan Schultz from the Bleacher Report and HuffPost came out yesterday, source telling him inside the Lakers that they're not that interested in Lonzo Ball at number 2. He has to wow them on June 7th with his interview and his workout. Possibly falling to number 3, where the Sixers are on the clock. What are your thoughts on Lonzo Ball? Because he does have some daddy issues, if you will, and that might have some teams shying away from him a bit. But where do you think Lonzo Ball fits in terms of all these potential draftees? And should the Sixers take him at 3 if he falls?
I'd be very concerned about taking him with his old man just having the constant stream of diarrhea of the mouth. I mean, when you're getting into things there, even talking about like Kyrie Irving and you get into commenting about what it was like for him growing up without a mother. It is really time to shut your mouth. That guy has some disturbing kind of issues that I think a lot of teams are going to want to stay away from, and it's unfair that it works out for his son that way. But I look at it like I kind of don't know necessarily where Philadelphia is going, and maybe you have a better sense of this. If Ben Simmons, if he's going to be playing the point, if he's going to be the ball-dominant guy, is there room for another guy like that in there? If there is room, yeah, you have to look at Ball, notwithstanding his dad. You have to look at Darren Fox. I would say maybe even Dennis Smith. But if there's not room for another ball-dominant guy, a name that I love, pencil this one in, Jonathan Isaac. I think he's even better than Josh Jackson, which a lot of people don't. But my FDH basketball analyst, Ben Shue, has sold me on him. Jonathan Isaac, I think, if you're not looking for a point guard, that's what I would do.
Interesting. Rick Morris from the FDH Lounge in Cleveland, breaking it all down, breaking down the Sixers, breaking down Jonathan Isaac, and, of course, breaking down Game 2, Cavaliers and Warriors tonight on these very airwaves at 8 o'clock. Rick, always appreciate it, my friend. Good talking to you, pal. We'll catch up with you soon.
Always a pleasure. I'm looking forward to defending the land tonight.
All right, Rick, go get it, my friend. Go get it. Rick Morris and his Cleveland Cavaliers.